And you thought Austin was good. Welcome to After the Flag. We are going to try over the next half an hour to pick the bones out of what was a sensational Spanish Grand Prix in front of a record crowd for MotoGP over the weekend. Almost 300,000 fans came through the gates this weekend, and very few of them, Simon, will be leaving Jerez this evening disappointed with what they saw. Maybe not the winner the home fans were coming for. Marc Marquez just falling short in the end to Pecco Bagnaia, but an incredible Grand Prix, an incredible shootout between two of the very best in MotoGP. First of all, before we get into some of the smaller details of what happened in the race, your overriding emotions at the end of that.
I absolutely loved that race. Look, I know people will remember ones like Assen where there was more overtakes or more drama, but I loved that, if we step back, beginning of this weekend, I was saying whoever wins this is going to deserve it, because the level of competition at this circuit is lifted, because all the manufacturers test here, all the riders know it so well, so they're just incredible level, and then to see the fighting at that level, it's just wonderful. Like, this man, unbelievable. Here's his overtake and he gets it stopped. There's a couple of those early on that he dug into tools that nobody else seemed to have, especially that braking. That last part of braking was amazing, and we saw we lost Jorge at some stage. Anyway, it wasn't that one. I absolutely loved it because I saw a rider riding at a level the whole way. They say you can't win from you've got to be on the first two rows here because it's tight, twisty, narrow, difficult to overtake, hard on front tyre, so pressure is a problem. And this man here on screen came from the third row and he won, and there was a couple of spots in there that it looked like it going either way, and he just stepped up. It was awesome, and I loved the fight from Marc. He never let go. Towards the end, look at this, when they come together, and towards the end of the race, it looked like Pecco had more rear tyre left to me, the pumping, and whether that was set up or style, how he used it, teamwork, who knows, but it looked like he had a bit more rear grip than Marc right at the end, but it was so close.
Yeah, it felt like there were 3 key laps at various stages through the race which really swung this Pecco Bagnaia's way, or 4 if you include the lap that Jorge Martin crashed on. Starting with that first lap, he crossed the line at the end of the first lap, leading the race from 7th on the grid. That overtake into turn 6 will live long in the memory. Round the outside of Marco Bezzecchi and Jorge Martin. Awesome. Just how difficult is that to do?
Well, and the thing is, he got it stopped, and turned in here on line. He did everything spot on. It was something that it looked like he had a tool no one else had, and he only used it if he had to, because it was probably risky, but yeah, wonderful to see someone riding at that level. And I know some people would doubt when I said, it's got to be one of the top 10 performances I remember from a rider, just from the start to the end. It was beautiful. There's probably more than 10 that will equal it. But, the championship at the moment is at a level we've never seen before, in recent years, where so many riders, because in my day there was a couple there's so many riders riding at that level, and to rise above and win takes something extra.
Bagnaia notoriously so good on the brakes. Marc Marquez appeared to have an advantage, particularly through that third sector, through the fast left-handers, which gave him the run on Bagnaia into turns 9 and 10. And we've often thought about
he's
Marc
so good
Marquez,
at lefts.
so good at left-handers, which of course helps. But Marc Marquez, of course, a formidable opposition in just elbow-to-elbow combat out on track, but Pecco Bagnaia fought fire with fire today, didn't he?
Yes. Look, Marc, tactician, he is, the best. When it comes down to racecraft, he makes a plan, and he's so good at, okay, that first one didn't work, I'm going to do this. He's got so much experience, and it's wonderful to watch. But he's also quite ruthless out there on the bike, and Pecco kind of handed it straight back. I think he knew from past experiences that he's going to have to. And we were treated to a ripper. Look, I've got to say, Marc, to come here at a circuit where it almost ended his career, turned 3, and he's been through so much, and he's been on target to, you know, step forward, and now he's fighting for the win. You know, we've only really seen that America in here, and he's doing it on the 1-year-old bike, you know, the older Ducati, and it's going to be interesting from here to the end of the season what he can do.
Yeah, we'll hear from Marc Marquez shortly. We'll still hear from the top 3 over the course of the show. This contact into turn number 10, there's actually still rubber on the arm of Marc Marquez, on the arm of his leathers, on his right arm, which he was showing to Pecco Bagnaia in Parc Ferme. And moments after this, Pecco Bagnaia, having regrouped, maintained the lead, pumps in a 1:37.4, new fastest lap of the race, and ultimately that was what broke Marc in the end.
Yes, definitely. Like I said, he had a couple of tools left that he could dig into and do a couple of tenths faster than anyone on the circuit, and it was clear today. He's got a slightly better bike, obviously, as well, you know, but he used, nobody else could get that out of it, you know, and he, like, wonderful to see. And Marc said, you know, when Pecco did that extra step, that he couldn't stay with him, but he's got more experience than Marc on that bike, and it's going to be interesting what Marc can do from here.
Yeah, we've got circuits coming up that Marc Marquez has a good record at. He has a good record everywhere, of course, isn't he? He's an 8 times world champion. You don't win 8 world titles by having weak circuits, but of course a long season. This is only round 4 of 21 rounds in 2024. But coming into today's Grand Prix, Pecco Bagnaia was 42 points behind Jorge Martin. As much as for the championship, just psychologically, how important and how much did Pecco Bagnaia need this today?
Oh, I mean, we came into this weekend talking about a list of riders that needed a performance, and Pecco was at the top of it, you know, because so far, you know, until Jerez, it had been an average season, you know, especially after such an amazing off-season testing, you know, pre-season testing. He looked like the favourite, and then they kind of lost their way, and it wasn't working. And what he did today was so good. Like, he proved why he's world champion, and it's easy to forget, I've said this before, how good he is when he steps up to that level. If he can hold it, you know, the others are in big trouble. Jorge's just given away a big part of that lead, which I'm sure we'll come to, but I admire Pecco a lot after today.
Yeah, we'll come on to Marc Marquez shortly, because we're going to hear from the 8 times world champion. Well, we've got the chance, as we're waiting for the top 3 to come and speak to us. Jorge Martin crashing out of the lead. Of course, it was a lead that was under severe pressure. Pecco Bagnaia was right behind him for the first half of that Grand Prix. Just how much will Jorge Martin be smarting from this one? Of course, it wasn't a guaranteed win, far from it. Pecco Bagnaia was right behind him, but an unforced error or a forced error? What do you think?
Well, I believe we're going to hear from Jorge debriefs tonight, and that the front tyre pressure went up. And I know everyone was struggling with that, because if you ran it to where you wanted, you know, to be safe grip-wise, you know, if the temperature went up, you risk getting disqualified, and Jorge can't, the team, no, they can't risk that. So my guess is they went a little bit safe on the pressure and said, Jorge, don't risk anything. But I believe the pressure went up and Jorge kept trying, you know, which is, you know, the riders, we've seen that. Joan Mir was amazing at it on the Suzuki. Marc's done it regularly. Pecco is a star at it, and that is when the pressure goes up, manage it, find a way to. I know Jorge was in front, so there was nothing more he could do except slow down.
So in the end, Jorge Martin gives up. His first non-scorer of the season, of course. He'd been on the podium in every race apart from the Grand Prix in Austin last time around. He finished 4th, so his bad days so far this year have been 4th places, but this was a major blot on the Martin copybook. His championship lead down to 17 points now over Pecco Bagnaia. I think it's 33 points covering the top 7 riders in the championship, so super close as we head to Le Mans in a couple of weeks' time. So Marc Marquez then, 2nd place for him, of course. The sprint win potentially passed him by yesterday. Of course, he was leading it when he crashed out. Of course, many riders caught out by wet patches in the sprint yesterday. But over the long run, big picture, surely Marc Marquez will count this weekend as another step in the right direction.
Yeah, he's never going to be happy without the win, for sure. I think we would have seen some real emotion. It's a shame we didn't, on that side. If he'd won at Jerez, the one that almost stopped him in his career. The way I see it, at America, Marc looked like he had nothing in reserve. He was on the limit trying to win at his beloved COTA, where, I think the riders around him looked more in control, where here, Marc looked like a match for anyone. So he's coming.
Yeah, the steps in the right direction continue for Marc Marquez. Surely it's only a matter of time before he finally gets that long-awaited victory. The 917-day wait goes on. And Marco Bezzecchi on the podium in third place. Easy to forget Marco Bezzecchi, given the battle between the top two, the crash of Jorge Martin at the front this afternoon. But talk about steps in the right direction. Marco Bezzecchi's adaptation to the GP23 wasn't exactly seamless, but it looks like he's getting there.
Yeah, I couldn't help but feel sorry for Marco all the beginning of the season, because he looked so sad, like he can't do the magic that he did last year. And he's such a likeable fella. He's so talented. We saw some rides from him last year that he literally ran away from the field, and both in wet and in dry. And now, this is the first event you have really felt him back. Okay, he's been on a march, the last couple, but he was matching that top four, staying in it for a long period, and that's not an easy thing to do. Hopefully he can take that next little step, confidence and speed-wise, and be the Marco we know.
Yeah, of course, we head to Le Mans next, which was the scene of one of his victories last year. Of course, he took 3 of them. Just explain, for those who perhaps haven't been following this, in fact, we'll go back to Marco Bezzecchi in a moment, because we have to hear from the race winner, arguably the best victory of Pecco Bagnaия's glittering MotoGP career. Let's get his reactions with Matt Burt.
Yeah, he's done it. The three-peat in Jerez, the hat-trick in Jerez. Pecco, we've seen so many famous battles, so many great races in Jerez down the years. That one was right up there. First of all, huge congratulations. One of the best rides, I think, of your career. It was all set up, though, with a truly incredible first lap, including the double overtake on Marco Bezzecchi and Jorge Martin into turn 6. First of all, tell us, how on earth did you do that?
It's something that I tried last year, and it works. Not as clean like this year, but it worked. Also was always on Jorge last year. Then in Thailand I tried again, but I didn't succeed. And today, yes. So it was fantastic. It was very important to overtake as soon as I can the guys at the front. And as soon as I saw that both guys were going on the inside, I said, okay, now I will brake so hard, but on the outside, and went perfectly. So it was nice.
That amazing first lap was the stage for you to take this victory eventually. But a small mistake at turn 13 on lap 2 put you back into third place. Then you were following Jorge Martin. Talk us through what you saw of Jorge's crash at turn 6.
I was committed little mistakes in corner 13, and after saw the Moto2 race that everyone's were going wide in corner 13, they were crashing. So I just had a slow comeback on the correct line. And then I started to follow Jorge, but the problem was that the front tire pressure was starting to going up, and it was not easy. But I saw in that lap that I brake really hard, but Jorge was even harder, and I saw that the bike was starting to shaking a bit, and he lost it. But for sure his pace was very fast.
And then what happened? We're all on the edge of our seats. We've all got no fingernails left, because it was an incredible battle, an intense battle with you and Marc. Just talk us through that, because he passed you twice at turn 9. You got him straight back. Both of you have got some scars from the battle. To beat Marc Marquez, though, in Jerez is never easy. You've done it here. First of all, did you enjoy that fight? Because it looked amazing from the outside.
I enjoyed a lot the fight. For sure, when you fight with Marc, you know perfectly that you have to put your elbow up, because the fight is intense. And honestly, was the only place where I was able to defend, because I was knowing perfectly that he was very strong on the 7-8, and I was hearing every lap that he was closing the gap. But I was really strong in the entrance of corner 9. So I was saying to myself, okay, I don't take risk in corner 8, but I will break so hard in corner 9 to have a little advantage. And I was knowing that if I was breaking this hard, it was for sure going a bit wide. And I just used this thing to cross the line and be front again.
There was contact, of course. You've had your moments already this year in Portimao. Did that cross your mind at any stage? And how close was it when you had the big touch coming through turn 10?
I was for sure. When you fight like this, you put on the list that you can have a contact. I think was quite smooth and smart, because I was on the inside. He just tried to round around, going around me, but as soon we arrived to the apex with us, and he picked up a bit. I just leaned more, because if I was pick upping too, I was going in the other side. So it was a contact, but in a smart way.
And just finally, you know what it's like to win here in Jerez. You did it in 2022, you did it in 2023. This weekend, it was a record crowd. Nearly 300,000 fans came to watch you guys in action this weekend. What was that cool-down lap like? To win a race like that against Marc Marquez in front of that crowd, you must feel like you're on cloud 9 right now.
Honestly, was incredible. Looking at the grandstand after the checkered flag was impressive. When you arrive in corner 9-10, the stadium is one of the most nice things for the riders. So I really enjoyed. I saw that the people were happy for the result, for everybody, because they enjoyed a lot the fight, and all the fight went there. So it was a coincidence that works perfectly.
You gave those fans a very good show today, Pecco. Huge congratulations! Just a phenomenal victory here today. Very well done.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, those fans in the stadium section had a front row seat for the very best action between Pecco Bagnaia and Marc Marquez. Speaking here as someone who's never ridden one of these around a track in anger, it always amazes and impresses me the mental capacity that these riders have. They're in a battle like that. I'd be trying hard just to stay on the thing, let alone thinking, he's closing in on me through turn 7 and 8. I've got to leave a little bit on the table through turn 8, and I've got to brake as hard as I can into 9. Pecco Bagnaia was thinking his way through that race, while Marc Marquez is right behind him thinking, I know where the attack's going to come. I need to make sure I save my best for here. He was just plotting his way through it, wasn't he?
That's a really good point. And what he brought up was, I know he's going to attack me in 9. I'm going to brake so late. And he did not turn in, which what he didn't add, let Marc go through and turn back. And thing is, when you start something and you're not very experienced, your mind has no room. But these guys have been doing this for so long, they can do what they do at that level and have capacity to think about other things. Incredible.
Incredible too from Marco Bezzecchi today. His first podium since India last year. Let's get his thoughts with Matt.
It's been a difficult start, I think it's fair to say, so far this season. But I think after today we can say Bez is back.
Yeah, well, hopefully yes. I mean, I was missing this moment, but yeah, the end of last season with the shoulder injury, but also the beginning of this season with the new bike and the adaptation and everything was a tough period for me. I was missing this feeling since a bit of time. So yeah, very happy to be here. Was a wonderful weekend, to be honest. I didn't expect, but I was very motivated when I started from home, because last year here I was struggling, so I was motivated for this, but also because I was improving step by step. So yeah, I wanted to make a good one, and fortunately I did it, so very happy.
Talk us through your race. Of course, you were in the battle for the podium throughout, fights with Pecco, fights with Marc Marquez. That's one you enjoyed and obviously rewarded with the podium. Yeah,
well, at the beginning I was really focused on the start. Is a part of the race that is always crucial right now, but also is a part where normally I struggle. With the clutch of our bike is really tough, and seems like I am a little bit stupid, and I can't be very good every time. So yeah, I was a bit nervous for this, so Vale helped me a lot through this part of the weekend. He gave me a lot of advices, and fortunately today I made a very good one, and I was there in the beginning, and after, yeah, I tried to manage, I tried to follow Pecco, I passed Mark to have a bit of free air because my front tire was going very up. So yeah, after I saw that he was a bit faster once Jorge crashed, he was anyway faster than me, so I was trying to follow, but I couldn't catch him, and Mark in that moment passed me. So I used Mark as a reference to try to escape from the riders behind, because I knew that was difficult to follow them. Mark this weekend was a bit faster. And in the end, when they start to battle, I tried to be close because if they make a mistake, at least I was there. But yeah, unfortunately for me, they didn't. But yeah, it was a good one.
You had a perfect seat for that battle between Pecco and Mark. It was pretty intense. What did you make of it? What did you see?
Yeah, I saw Mark's overtakes in turn 9 both times, and yeah, I really couldn't see the contact, but I saw that they lost a bit, and when I went outside turn 10, I was a lot closer, so I said, for sure, something happened. But, you know, with Mark, he's always a hard fight, but also with Pecco, he's the world champion, and he wants to demonstrate everything. And I was there just looking around, but yeah, happy to be here, and hopefully I can continue to improve.
And a crash in Parc Fermé with Pecco. Let's hope that you don't get a long lap penalty in Le Mans.
I made a body slam to him because he break my balls to be so fast.
Well, I'm sure now there's going to be a lot of trash talking once again between you two. Marco, it's great to see
but
you.
I was so happy that I couldn't control myself, so sorry Pecco.
He's okay, he's fine, don't worry. He won the race. Great to see that big best smile back. We hope it's not too long before we see you again, Marco. Fantastic race, well done.
Thank you so much. Ciao.
Yeah, we couldn't agree more with that, Matt. What an interview that was. Marco Bezzecchi back on the podium, as mentioned, first time this season. Trust us, Marco, nobody thinks you're stupid, as he said during that interview. But the more Marco Bezzecchi podiums, the better, if it means we get more interviews like that. Just such a great guy, such a great character for the sport, isn't he?
He's, like I said, so lovable. I mean, he's got to be about the same age as my son, so I kind of look at him like that, and what a great kid, and what he's doing at this level. Is what he was doing last year was amazing. I really look forward to, he's good for the sport, and I look forward to him being back on top.
Good day in terms of the Ducati teams, all 4 Ducati teams actually, I guess with the exception of Pramac, who crashed out of the lead in the form of Jorge Martin. Frankie Morbidelli also out of the Grand Prix. He had contact with a very angry Jack Miller in that Grand Prix. But of course, a second and a fourth for Gresini today. A step in the right direction for Alex Marquez too.
Yeah, Alex rode really, really well. He's been threatening to all weekend. I mean, he has been riding well all weekend, and wasn't surprised to see him there. That corner that caught out a few people, you mentioned Jack, turn 5. There's a few corners like that on the calendar where you go in relatively tight, run wide mid-corner and come back. And because riders can attack it different ways, you know, the running wide leaves a gap for someone. And there's always incidents on these corners. Brno first turn was another one. I've forgotten the others right now, but all I'm saying is that it kind of happens because a rider behind will see the rider in front, open a gap, they jump in it, and then he comes back, and incidents happen.
Incidents happen, and there was an incident between Pecco Bagnaia and Marc Marquez. Both stayed on to finish first and second. Second place today for Marc Marquez, MotoGP podium number 102. He's with Matt.
Yeah, Marc Marquez. Marc, your first Ducati pole position here this weekend. What a place to do it as well in the Spanish Grand Prix in Jerez. And then your first Ducati podium in a Grand Prix. So close to the victory. That was a heck of a race. The fans loved it. We loved it. And I'm sure you loved it as well on that Ducati. That's a feeling that you've missed these last few years, isn't it, Marc?
Yeah, as you know, if I'm there, the show is there. So always we try, always, I mean, doesn't matter where we come. I mean, because we are coming from the shit. but today, whatever, we try. And yeah, I mean, it's true that just what we can say on the race, that the small mistake was that first 5 laps, that I'm human. and the mistake from yesterday was super heavy on the shoulders, and I was very stiff, and I saw many crashes on Moto2, and then I was extra careful, and then the others overtake me. But you know, today was the time to be on the podium, but to don't crash again, because if not, 3 crashes in a row is too much for a rider. So yeah, even like this, as you see, I try. I try, and I had the speed. I mean, the speed was super good. I mean, when I overtake Bezzecchi and I have like a fresh air, I mean, the bike was incredible. I was riding super. I was flowing, and I catch Pecco. And that first moment was the time to win the race. But he defended aggressive, but in a good way. I mean, he's racing, and he played well his cards. And then I did one lap more behind him, front temperature go up, and then impossible to brake hard. But I need to say that also he surprised me with that fast lap in the last 2 laps.
His pace at the end of the race was incredible. We can see the scars, Mark, on your right shoulder of the battle that you had with Pecco. Of course, you've had your battles this year already in Portimao. Talk us through those 2 laps where you attacked him twice at turn 9, and then he came straight back at you at turn 10. There was a little bit of contact. Talk us through it from your point of view.
Contact was in the limit, but it was a contact. He defended well the position. I was not wide, but he just jumped in quite aggressive, and yeah, in one moment I was lucky that I saw him, and I pick up a bit the bike, and we avoid that crash. But I know, and I start to understand that Pecco always jump in, and sometimes it's going well, but sometimes no. So when it's not going well, the bad thing is that also maybe it was a 0 points for me, but he defended in a correct way. I mean, for me, this is racing, and you need to understand that sometimes are contacts, and sometimes you will create that contact, sometimes they will create your contact to you, but it's done. Congrats him for the victory.
Mark, of course, everybody knows your story with Jerez after what happened in 2020. You've had so many difficult years. Nobody really can fully understand, apart from yourself, how tough it has been for these last 4 years. So to get your first Ducati podium, to get your first Ducati pole position at this very track, how does that make you feel? It was almost felt like it was destiny that it would be here, that it would happen for you in front of that amazing crowd as well.
Yeah, I mean, 4 years ago here I started my nightmare, and it was super tough, but I hope and I wish that right now start my second life, we can say, you know. I mean, it's true that it was a nightmare. It's true that still we don't go out from that negative moment, but step by step we have a positive and good news. So I want to thank all the people around me. I want to thank the people that support me a lot. I want to thank Honda to respect my decision. I want to thank Gresini and Ducati to give me the opportunity to ride this year for them. And yeah, just I'm enjoying, and I'm happy. If I'm happy, I'm fast.
Yeah, a happy rider is a fast rider. Mark, it's great to see you back. The Spanish crowd, I love that performance today. Well done, fantastic race.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Matt. Yeah, quite a powerful final answer that from Marc Marquez in the end. Of course, he was almost saying there, he feels like he's now finally closed the book on what has been a pretty hellacious few years for him, starting here back in 2020, the injury nightmare he's been through, of course, a tough period with Honda, which led to his departure. The speed is back, if it ever left. The confidence is clearly back, and you can see from Marc Marquez, the enjoyment is back.
Yeah, he is clearly happy, and I think what he's been through has been life-changing. All big injuries are. I had one, and it made me, for example, a better husband, better father. And the reason I say all that is Mark isn't the same person he was before. You can see it even in the interviews there, but for example, I was in his way by accident because the grid was so busy today, and I went, oh, sorry, but, you know, let him by. And he said, no, you go. You know, like, that's not the Mark that I knew from pre-accident, you know. He just stared through me, you know. He's too. Look, humans are like that, and sometimes if it goes too well for too long, probably like it did for me, something brings you down to earth and you see things clearer. And it's great to see him on the way back and genuinely enjoying it, appreciating everything everyone does for him.
Enea Bastianini finished 5th today. He is 3rd in the World Championship, overtaken by his teammate Pecco Bagnaia today. 6th for Brad Binder. We'll speak about Pedro Acosta in a moment from a KTM point of view, but starting with Brad Binder and KTM in general this weekend. Qualifying clearly went very, very well for Brad Binder on the second row of the grid, but couldn't quite match that in the race. How will he and KTM reflect on this weekend?
I really look forward to hearing Brad's debrief tonight. He's not going to be happy. We know Brad, and he had the possibility. I even said on the grid I thought he could get on the podium here. Today he showed speed yesterday. They clearly worked overnight. Different tyre, long race. I thought he had the chance, being that third step, and it clearly didn't happen like that. And really quite disappointing weekend for KTM because they were strong here traditionally, and Jack's weekend was a nightmare, and not all Jack's doing, technical problems one after the other, making Jack look worse than he was this weekend, because he's quite strong here, very good in bad conditions, and he got to show none of his cards because of these technical things. Who knows what he would have done in the race, but I'm just saying those difficult conditions qualifying, and Brad, it didn't happen like he foresaw, I believe, so they're going to be disappointed. And Pedro, I knew it was going to be a tough one for him here, speaking about that same group. Oh, we're talking about
that's the collision between Jack Miller and Frankie
Morbidelli. Yes, that's at turn 5, and those type of corners encourage that basically a rider to give it a go, and that's the end result, and it's quite sad, yeah.
And we can all understand, even if you don't necessarily condone emotion taking over for Jack Miller there, of course. These are very highly strung and highly wired sportsmen putting their bodies on the line. So understandably, Jack Miller perhaps letting emotion get the better of him there. So Pedro Acosta
the end of a tough weekend.
He had a tough weekend, and I guess that was the final straw for Jack. Pedro Acosta came into today 2nd in the World Championship after his 2nd place in the sprint yesterday, albeit, I guess, a slightly fortuitous one, given how many crashed out ahead of him. I guess Pedro Acosta's weekend ultimately lost in qualifying because he made that mistake in qualifying when he was potentially going to be on the front row of the grid. It puts him in 10th place, and I guess you're at the mercy of potentially some bad luck on the first lap, which is
very well put. Dead right. That, and like I've been saying, the level here is so high. I think Pedro's going to win a race this year. It's the first time, recently. What he did in Kota shows that he's going to do it, but I don't think it's going to be at a circuit where everybody pushes the level so high that it gives nothing left for the brilliant rookie to do. Where I think we'll go to a track where we have one race a year, and so the rest don't have time to squeeze everything out of it, and that brilliant kid will find something special, extra to do, and put it on this top step.
Yeah, he dropped back all the way down to 18th on the first lap of the race to Acosta. He had contact with Johan Zarco and fell back through the field. Did recover in the end to 10th place, which on the face of it, I guess, given the way his race started, was a pretty decent recovery. He's 4th in the World Championship now at the end of that. How will Aprilia reflect on this one? Ken, the speed was clearly there for Aprilia as we went through the weekend. Will Maverick Vinales in particular and Aleix Espargaro go away from this weekend thinking if only qualifying was dry?
They're bang on, and because if Maverick was on the front row like he deserved to be, he would have been in that fight. Would have been super interesting to see. Matt said during the race that Aprilia are there in consistency, one weekend and not the other. But to be fair, Aprilia, they've got a damn good bike. To be fair to the riders, Aprilia have dropped the ball a couple of times. But to be fair to Aprilia, the riders have dropped the ball a couple of times. So, yeah, I think Aprilia are ready to do it, ready to fight for the World Championship. I think it's, a couple of things need to happen.
Yeah, 9th place for Maverick Vinales today. Aleix Espargaro and Johan Zarco making contact, both of them out of the Grand Prix in the end. As far as Yamaha are concerned, of course, qualifying went so badly wrong for them, and I guess they were hoping for another miracle like they got from Fabio Quartararo yesterday. We understand, Fabio Quartararo's already spoken to the media, we understand Fabio Quartararo suffered from arm pump midway through the Grand Prix, which saw him drop all the way back to 15th place. I guess living up to what we saw yesterday from Fabio Quartararo was always a very tall order.
I went to his debrief last night, and it wasn't me, someone else asked him, what are your hopes for today, which was what I wanted to know. And he said, if we finish in the top 10, that is our kind of aim achieved, you know. That's their goal at this stage, you know. Aleix put it so well. I've got to give him the credit for this. He said, look, when a manufacturer takes on engineers like Honda and Yamaha have, it takes a good year to see what those engineers have brought. Sure, there's some quick things that we'll see, but overall, to make a proper step, it's going to take 12 months from when hiring them. So you're talking beginning of next season.
Which leads us on to Honda, who didn't exactly have the weekend they were hoping for, although Augusta, they did benefit from some attrition in the sprint yesterday. Joan Mir scored points in the sprint yesterday, so too did Johann Zackel. Johann Zackel was going to score points, so they crashed at the final corner. In many respects, although we've just had the Spanish Grand Prix, is the most important day that Honda are going to spend at Jerez coming up tomorrow.
Oh, completely. Remember Misano test midway through last year? I was literally angry that Honda hadn't brought something engine-wise, because you could hear KTM did. They've got such a similar package. KTM made a step forward with it. Honda didn't. And if I know it, what KTM have done, the Honda manufacturer sure does. So let's see what they do tomorrow.
Yeah, if you're watching live on MotoGP.com, make sure you tune into MotoGP.com tomorrow and our social media channels for updates from the test. Jack Ghost and Simon Crafar are staying on here at Jerez. They'll have an update live on our social media channels around about midway through the day. So keep your eye on our social media channels to watch that. We'll have reaction, of course, at the end of the day as well. If you're watching on delay or on catch-up, then we will see you in a couple of weeks' time. I almost want to get to Le Mans now. Such a good Grand Prix here, following on from a classic in COTA. Next stop, Le Mans. We will see you there.